In the blockbuster film, The Perfect Storm, we see just how destructive Mother Nature can be when the right elements come together. On July 15th, the Chicago area saw a perfect storm of its own, but this time on land with a record-setting number of tornadoes touching down in one day.
In tonight's special report, Chief Meteorologist Emily Walls breaks down what exactly Mother Nature was up to that day.
July 15th was a very busy day in the Chicago area, really across the whole Midwest.
Brett Borchardt is with the National Weather Service in Chicago. He's one of several meteorologists on hand that day who issued multiple tornado warnings to the entire Chicago metropolitan area and beyond.
We saw a derecho, which is a long-lived line of damaging windstorms, move across the region.
The derecho had been building for the last few days as part of a weather pattern called Ring of Fire.
It's really when storms parade around a dome of heat. It's a typical pattern in the summertime, so we had several rounds of storms move across our general area in a short span of time. I think it was 5 thunderstorm clusters in just 48 hours. We knew that the 15th was going to be sort of the pinnacle, the biggest thunderstorm event in the whole pattern. The heat was going to be building and pooling ahead of a big cold front rushing through the regions.
Borchardt says they knew this storm system would bring rounds of severe weather, and it did, with Mother Nature starting to turn up the heat around 3 o'clock.
We were in a level 4 out of 5 threat level for severe weather. That's pretty rare for our area. We typically see that maybe once a year, if that.
The Chicago National Weather Service went into all hands-on-deck mode with every available staff member working. At 6:50, the service issued a tornado watch that included the Chicago metropolitan area.
Cities do not stop tornadoes. Many metropolitan areas, such as Nashville recently, Houston, they've been hit by tornadoes. Chicago is not special. The lake doesn't protect the city.
10 minutes later, the first severe thunderstorm warning is sent out, highlighting Lee, Ogle, and Winnebago counties. 15 minutes after that came the first tornado warning. It was for Ogle County. 20 minutes more, the National Weather Service sends out the first severe thunderstorm warning covering parts of the Chicago area, Lake County in particular. By 8 p.m., Mother Nature kicked this storm system into high gear and kept it there for the next 3 hours.
On this particular day, we had 4 people watching radar. That's a lot. Normally we have 2 to 3 people on an average severe weather event. And we have people dedicated to specifically damaging winds, people dedicated to flash flooding, and people dedicated to issuing just tornado warnings. We had 3 individual meteorologists issuing tornado warnings, which is very unusual, but we were ready.
The Chicago National Weather Service was ready and waiting to see what the storm system would do next.
At one point in time, there were 5 tornadoes that were sweeping across the Chicago metro at the same exact time. In recent memory, I can't think of anything like that.
That was at 9:43 p.m. The National Weather Service was tracking tornadoes in Manteno, Crestwood to Blue Island, Peatone, Oak Forest, and Flossmoor to Thornton. Before the night was over, even Borchardt and his team had to stop what they were doing and take cover in their storm shelter as a tornado also threatened their office.
And we have plans in place where we can call one of our backup offices, in this case it was in Gaylord, Michigan, to take over within a matter of seconds, and they were able to issue warnings for us as we took cover. When the threat was cleared, we came back out, let them know we were okay. We took back over and the operations was seamless.
When the wind and rain finally settled from this record-breaking derecho, the National Weather Service confirmed 56 tornadoes across Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Indiana, with 48 of them happening in Illinois alone. Of those 4 dozen tornadoes, 32 touched down in the Chicago area, 11 in Cook County, and 4 in the city limits of Chicago, all in a single day.
That's the most we've ever had on record since 1950. So that by itself is very noteworthy, very rare for our area.
When it comes to the yearly number of tornadoes, Illinois is on track to break that record too. Again, thanks to this storm system.
So the unofficial count right now is 126 tornadoes across the state of Illinois, which, if made official, would make a record.
According to state climatologist Trent Ford, right now the current record is 123 tornadoes set back in 2006. The cleanup from this storm may also come with a record-breaking price tag. According to the Illinois Emergency Management Agency, a preliminary sampling of just 2,200 homes estimates the damage at $16 million.
Those are rough estimates, but we know there's going to be many more applicants than those 2,200 total throughout the state. So that number will rise significantly.
But there are some things you just can't put a price tag on.
The thing is that it was just a very productive storm that produced a lot of severe weather. And when you think about it, there was a lot of damage, but there were no fatalities across the state and 2 injuries, both of which were not severe.
Ford chalks that up to early warnings being issued, as well as emergency management and forecasters being prepared and working together. If you're wondering when or if we will see another derecho like this one, here are the odds.
Derechos are pretty common actually in this region. We typically see one every year, but we don't see one of that magnitude every year. That typically occurs once every 5 to 10 years. The last time we had a derecho of that magnitude was in August of 2020.
Now, on August 30th, the state issued a disaster proclamation for 7 counties following the storm system and is waiting to hear if its request for federal disaster assistance will be approved. And in the meantime, if you have storm damage, the Illinois Emergency Management Agency says you should report it to your city administrator and your county emergency management department. Dawn and Scott.
Thank you, Emily. Coming up next.